Or corrections to the minutes from the previous meeting? Hearing none, I'll take a motion to approve.
I make a motion.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay. Go on to our quarterly financial report. Pass that to staff.
Okay.
Is there any questions you can ask staff?
One thing I will point out on the first page of the additional information I provided you guys, there is a $5,250 deduction from our funds. That was the return of missed money to the state. So that's probably the only thing that will really stick out to you that was abnormal from last quarter.
Is there any questions?
What's a special assessment penalty?
So that's just our income. So if there are any special assessments charged to taxes or anything like that, we get a portion of that in the EDA pool.
You get a portion of the penalty?
That is received, that's paid, yes.
Okay.
Alright, if there's no other questions, we'll move on to the coordinator report.
All right. So a couple of things I wanted to update you all on. Community Roadside Landscape Partnership Program, that was the landscaping design layout that I had showed you guys at the last meeting. We have been approved into the program. So I am waiting actually to hear back from Tony, who is one of the architects, I believe, with MnDOT, to set up a kickoff meeting just to talk about further design and if we want to add anything to that project or what their thoughts are. They have some specific ruling on distance away from storefronts, signage, things like that, and height restrictions. So we're just going to sit down and talk with them about what that might look like or if there are changes to the current plan that we have. In addition to further discussion on future projects, because we can utilize this program on an annual basis. So we can do further beautification to that intersection and other corridors of Trunk Highway 57 too. So we can get the conversation going for what future things may look like as well, which will be beneficial. As mentioned, state revolving loan funds were returned. And then a couple other things that I just wanted to let you guys know. I met with Ryan Nolander with Ready yesterday, me and Teresa did, just to kind of talk about what we have going on in our community and to, make sure that we have a strong relationship there with Ready, since they are our area economic development group, so that they're aware of any progress that we have here, or if they have people coming and looking for a specific type of property, that they may be able to pass our information on to them. And he left us with a folder of their quarterly reports and stuff like that, so if anybody's interested in reading more about them, I do have that here. So we thought that that was a good conversation to have. I also wanted to let you know that I have had some conversations with potential developers for residential property here in town and provided them with some information on potential land that is available for that. So hopefully we can see additional residential developments kind of pop up that are a little more on the affordable side of things. So other than that, that's kind of it for me. I've been working on some grant research and stuff for Teresa and some of the projects that we've got in the pipeline, so nothing really new there. Does anybody have any questions on my report at all?
The kickoff meeting is...
One second. You want to pull your mics down? No. Otherwise I ain't going to hear you. Sorry. I didn't want to interrupt her. Thank you.
The kickoff meeting for this Roadside Landscape Partnership Program.
Yep.
Being set where? When?
So it will be held here, and it's essentially just going to be myself, Teresa, Potentially Brian from Sargent, who we've been working with on our original design plan, and, who will likely do a primary, like a bulk of the heavy planting for us. Ron, and then one or two people from the state, one of their architects, and then our project manager on that. So, we are gonna have a meeting kind of minds from people from every department to make sure that the city and the state are on board, and then obviously having who we're getting our plantings from and who's doing some of the work too, so.
Okay, I guess, is this under our responsibility umbrella, or is this under the, administration, the city council?
So, I guess you can look at this one of two ways. According to our comprehensive plan, if you read through our comp plan, beautification and creating a gateway into our community, is set to improve economic development as well. We wanna make sure that we have a community that is striking to people when they enter it. So, this is one of those projects where it's pretty minimal maintenance, so the application process was pretty easy. That's something that Teresa and I felt like could be handled and maintained under my responsibility. And because I am doing it is why I'm reporting to you guys. And we hope that we can continue to do it throughout the community in areas in which will draw people to help with the economic aspect of it.
Okay, I'm just wondering, at the meeting, should we maybe not have any business people there?
There won't be any business people.
Why?
This is something that the city is doing for ourselves. It's not gonna directly impact any businesses, so.
I thought it was supposed to impact businesses by bringing in people.
It's the city's way of providing a service to beautify the city for not only businesses, but individuals.
You
So
say the city as if that's some unknown item over here. The city is made up of business people and residents, and.
But this, the easy way to say it is, the EDA is appointed as, through the city council is appointed to oversee for the city, so it's easier for the.
I'm sure it's easier.
So.
I'm just wondering if.
Well, and when you deal, no, not to be rude, but when you deal with MnDOT and any of those, they wanna deal with strictly the staff and the council. They don't want businesses in their.
They don't want any private opinions?
No, usually not, because MnDOT's hard to work with in the first
Right.
place. So, and the more you load them down with stuff, the less likely they wanna come back and work. They wanna come in, MnDOT's a hard one to work with for anything. They're difficult.
And the other thing too, so in the comprehensive plan, that was community outreach driven, and beautification is something that was identified through those focus groups that took a year to compile the information. So now we're acting out what was recommended by citizens, business owners, things like that. And
So you're saying beautification was recommended?
Yes.
Through this comprehensive plan?
Yes.
You know, beauty is really hard to define.
Yep, and that's why we're doing what we can to beautify our streets.
Yeah.
And providing opportunity for business beautification as
Yeah.
well, so.
I understand that. I do understand that. I know a lot of people in Casson who have looked at our signs, coming into our town out on 14, don't think that they were beauties. So I'm wondering if, when you have your meeting, will we be given an idea of what's going to happen?
So the first draft that was provided at our last meeting that everybody saw, that landscaping layout was in our last EDA packet. So that we kind of reviewed that at our last meeting. Yep, we had that, so I can provide it to you, I have it saved.
Yeah.
So, and then this will just provide further discussion on what more could potentially be done. But, yeah, as Dan was saying, so when we made a recommendation to council to pass a resolution, to proceed with this project, it specifically had to state in that resolution who, on the city's behalf, could go through with this process, and the two that were named were myself and Teresa on the project, so.
And then do you have a budget you're working with?
So essentially what it is, I can't remember exactly, it's a reimbursement program, and MnDOT will cover up to, I wanna say almost $30,000 worth of the project. So essentially what happens is we have to get all of the quotes, make sure that they're okay with the plantings that we're doing, the layout of it, because it is on MnDOT property. This is not on city property, this is on MnDOT right of way. So we need to make sure that they approve of it first and foremost, and then once the plantings are complete, which a bulk of the heavy planting will be done by sergeants, then the city staff will come in and do the finishings, which would be the mulching and maintenance and things like that. Once all of that is done and MnDOT sees it completed, they reimburse us for every penny that we spend, unless it is on, like, city time, which that's our expected contribution, that's our match, so to speak. So, this won't come out of the city's budget, this will be an added benefit because of the partnership we have with MnDOT. So.
Okay.
Any other questions on my report at all?
Cash and Connections, this Thursday?
Yes, Cash and Connections is this Thursday at 7:30 in the morning at Daniels.
Any feedback on?
So I have
turnout?
had response, I'm guessing we'll have, I'm hoping between 10 and 15 people, between RSVPs. I know some people that say that they can attend, end up not coming, and then there are others who don't RSVP at all and come. So, I'm hoping, I think it'll be a little bit smaller this first time for a couple of reasons. 7:30 I feel like is pretty early for people to want to come. Some of them, that was a response I've already received, like, probably won't make it because I don't know if I'll be out of bed yet.
Or have kids dropped off
Yes,
at school.
yep.
Right.
And then,
Right.
but I have gotten a few responses, so we'll see of those how many are able to attend, so.
Can I show up in case I didn't RSVP
Yes,
already?
you can show up.
I can't, I'm out.
Well, you're part of the EDA, so it'll be good.
Alright, just have to,
Yeah,
take
please
my
do,
kids
actually.
to school for me.
I'm hoping to be there too.
So
Perfect.
it's good to have some EDAs there too, you know, it helps.
Yep, perfect. Alright. That's all I have for my report. And then, one thing I had on the agenda, this is something that, Teresa had noticed, and received information on Minnesota Main Street. They have, the Preservation Alliance of Minnesota is, starting a new, network community opportunity. So, I don't know how, are any of you familiar with the Main Street programs that are out there? So, there are Main Street programs nationwide, and essentially what it is to be a Main Street city, they typically require a full-time staff employee to focus on, Main Street and getting it, going, I guess, and making sure that all Main Streets are functioning at their highest capacity. Being as though there are a lot of smaller rural communities that don't have the staff capacity to be able to allocate someone's time strictly to their downtown Main Street corridor, they have created what they're calling network communities, and essentially it offers a lot of the same resources that a full Main Street community has access to, but it doesn't have the requirements of the Main Street program. So it doesn't have the full-time staff requirements and things like that. Some of the benefits, you can get regional workshops, webinars, online resources and toolkits. There's a lot of networking events, so you can talk with other communities that are looking to do the same types of things in their communities that we are here. And there's an annual participation fee of $250. They say it's a competitive application process, and in the application it also states that we have to have like a group of like 5 people who are willing to be players in this, essentially willing to go to all of those networking events and taking advantage of the opportunities. I'm guessing that they will also have some form of like benchmarking, so there'll probably be some expectation of progress within the communities. At this point, I don't know what those look like, though not time-consuming like a full-time position. I also haven't been able to identify how much of one person's time this could potentially take up, but significantly less than a 5-day-a-week job, that's for sure. So the application, I think they accept it twice a year. The first one is due at the end of January. I didn't know if this would be something that the EDA would be interested in kind of spearheading, if you think that this is a good idea, and we can go out and see if we can find those other key players to participate in this, with me being the primary point of contact, or kind of what your thoughts are on that. It's just, I think it would be great resources, but I just wanted to see what your appetite on that would be.
Well, if we're to get into this, we need to know how many people in need, how many meetings, what kind of time.
Yep.
Cause it's gonna be strictly volunteers, so.
Yep.
You gotta know what they want from us, for how many meetings we gotta be at, percentage.
Yep, and I think from what I was reading, I think if one person goes, to the meetings, that's one thing, because they can disseminate all of that information, but I think that they're gonna expect us to have a plan of how we intend to grow our downtown. So, I more so wanted to put this on everybody's radar. I personally don't think it's feasible to get an application done by the end of January,
Oh, no.
because I feel like there's
No.
far too many
But
conversations to be had.
You could get it done for the summer one if you
Yeah.
want, but there's a good case of getting business owners and individuals that are downtown on Main Street involved.
I do know that 2 years ago, we went to this same program over in Austin at a meeting. Austin basically said, you know, we've already done this on our own, why would we involve you? And those of us from Casson were not interested either. So you know, we have an unusual Main Street, and when you deal with preservation, historic, a lot of times there's a lot of
Gray tape, red tape?
rules.
Yeah, I know what you mean.
You know, you're not gonna paint that pink, are you? So, like I say, there was probably 8 of us that went over there to Austin, and none of us got a
Warm fuzzy.
yeah, no. So I don't know how this would be like I say, our first problem is our Main Street is so unusual.
Yeah.
Anybody else have any inputs?
Cause like you say, with the alliance like that, you're gonna have certain rules that you have to do by,
Yeah, you do.
so.
Preservation has their own guidelines.
Perfect. I'm impartial either way, so if that's something we're not comfortable with,
I mean, you could ask around
You
if there's
can
any
find
people
them.
interested, I mean, it ain't gonna cost us nothing to ask
No.
around.
Yep.
Yeah.
And see what kind of
There's
rules they have.
somebody
Yep, I'll do some further research too.
Cause
and
if they
see.
come back with a lot of rules.
Yeah,
I
and
think,
I also plan, Marty Walsh, who is, with CEDA, he was very involved in Main Street programs in Iowa, and I know he still stays really connected and goes to a lot of their seminars and stuff, so, I will talk to him and see if he thinks it's something that's even
Okay.
worth looking into
I can
further based off
tell
of
you, I
his
think
experience.
the one that I know of that was a success really was Red Wing. And there again, you know, they really have that preservation downtown.
Downtown.
Yep.
Yeah.
Historic.
Yep.
Yeah, and I know it was very successful
Would it
there,
make
and I
sense to-
think,
I'm sorry, Jeff.
yeah, I think that's why they were trying to push it out to other communities.
Would it make
Okay.
sense to throw this to the Chamber of Commerce just to see if there is
Any
people interested?
interest, or even
Yeah.
at these meetings that we're gonna have
Yeah.
once a month, maybe
Yeah.
just bring it
Before
up?
before we say just nobody's interested, see if
Yeah.
there's
Well,
any-
that's why.
Put
See
it
if
out
we throw it
there.
out there, I mean, it don't hurt.
Yeah.
Doesn't cost us nothing.
No.
Right.
But
And I'll do some more research before I go that route, just so that way I can be better prepared to ask.
Yeah, in case there's a lot of rules and regulations
Yep.
that we can't even,
Yep.
that we can abide by, but, you know,
Yeah.
is it feasible for the
Right.
businesses? Cause it's gonna come down to an expense for the business more than anybody.
I mean, with the Main Street program, I mean, it's not necessarily like bringing like a small, like our own local SHPO office, you know, like that's not quite what it, you know, State Historic Preservation Office, where they come and then they really audit us on rules and regulations. The thing with this Main Street program, I met with them a few times when I was at CEDA with different communities. It's an interesting idea, but it seemed like their model at the time was really developed to work pretty well for like larger towns, like the size of Red Wing or Winona. It had a lot to do with trying to generate new projects by Main Street players meeting each other and getting to know each other. The problem with Casson is that we mostly know each other already. And that was kind of the problem.
If you don't know each other, you haven't got up.
Right, so that was, you know, whereas like Red Wing, you have so many new players or people that are coming from out of town, and where those relationships haven't happened, and they were really well suited for that. You know, we talked kind of, you know, what's the value add then specific to small communities, and I think they were still, cause they were new. The Minnesota version of this is relatively new, or at least the Preservation Alliance is fairly new in terms of servicing this role. So they were still kind of figuring out how exactly they wanted to position themselves to add that value. And I see that this looks like a, you know, kind of a first step in that direction, which I think is great. I don't, cause yeah, we didn't have you know, it's like, one, where there isn't a real clear value add, and then secondly, it was way out of our budget. So this is nice in that it's quite a bit more realistic in cost. I'm still a little, you know, to me it looks like it'd be good for kind of like a continuing education, element, you know, if we were interested in that. I think at the EDA level, I've kind of taken our position to really be more of like a hands-on, just more project-based type group, I guess, has kind of been the feel I've gotten. But if Marty has like a specific, you know, this is the value add that I would see for Casson, cause he just knows so much more about it.
Right.
I'd love to hear it, you know,
Okay.
cause I mean, he did our first impression report, as well, you know, if he had something that, you know, looking back, kind of reminding himself of what he saw, and was looking at kind of what the opportunities are with Main Street, and was like, these are the things that would be super great for Casson through Main Street, I'd be interested in hearing that.
Okay. Yeah, I'll talk to him a little bit and see what more information I can find, and then I'll provide that to you before proceeding, any further with it, just to make sure we're on the same page, if that works.
Next up, we got city logo.
So, Joya with CEDA has been taking some Illustrator courses, and I have them to pass out. I didn't put them in your packet. There you go. And she had to do a project for one of the courses she was taking, and knowing that at one point in 2018 we were looking at doing some branding stuff, but decided to forego it due to the heavy expense. She and I kind of talked, and she decided that she would see what she could come up with for our community based on some conversations had with Teresa, and then also looking at the rebranding of Dodge County and seeing kind of what they did to create a fresher identity for themselves. So, as you can see, there's the Dodge County one on the second page, so you can kind of view the comparison, and then the one that Joya designed for us. So I figured I would kind of just go over with you some of the components of it and the relevance that we see in this, and then get your feedback. Teresa felt like this would be the first place to stop and get everybody's thoughts, and then if we have to go back to the drawing board, we can go back to the drawing board from there to see. But so Teresa provided a sketch, which I wish I would have included, emphasizing a few, key factors in the community identified in the comp plan, which, emphasis on town history, which is why the water tower is present, the green space, because we are a tree city, which identifies the treescape in the background, our downtown business, in addition to housing, which if you look at the, layout of the, logo, it resembles a house, in addition to, the house border kind of looking more like an arrow, to, pay some homage to our comprehensive plan and, the cast and upward concept. So she went with that there as well. The colors are brighter and more modern, but they're also similar to, what we currently have for a logo. And, she also tried to keep it similar to the county's logo, so there's some cohesion and consistency there, between our community and the county in which it sits. And, she also added the words to the bottom of the logo, for simplicity reasons. The one thing that we noticed with our old logo, it was very intricate and detailed to the point of when you made it small for letterhead, you couldn't identify what was read on the water tower, or any of that. It just made it very difficult to view. So that's why, it's independent from the logo itself. And she was also playing around with, some, like, potential slogans, and reading through our, comprehensive plan, she came up with "your home" with the word "our," clearly identified in that, as, in our comp plan, we talk about having a welcoming nature and inclusion, so, promoting that to those who are potentially looking to reside within our community. So, I sent this to Dan right away to kind of get some of his perspective and to ask whether I should include this in the board packet or wait until today, to see what kind of your guys' first impressions of the logo are.
And Dan said.
I said, he is, too busy, too much explaining to people of what it is. I did show a couple other people, and some of the remarks I got were, one of them, somebody says it resembles too much of a male anatomy to them.
Oh.
Teresa mentioned that
Oh my.
there may be somebody who would
That's
identify
just-
that.
They might speak for themselves.
But no, I'm just saying, I just,
Alright,
the
then.
input I got
Yeah.
was, I said, just what do you
Yeah.
think, and I just got, you know, and
Well,
I
I-
wasn't trying to put it down, I was just
Right.
merely,
Yeah.
it was too busy, too much,
Well,
too
I honestly
complicated.
didn't know what the tower was until she said.
Well, see, I got the tower
out
out
there,
there,
and I
but-
thought, oh yeah, that's what that, I
But that was
thought
about the
it was
only
an
thing I got.
arrow going upwards, you know, we're going
Yep.
up. So, I thought it was an arrow.
Well, I wasn't a marketing major in college, though I had some marketing, and to me it seems like if you knew all the hidden meanings behind the colors and the symbols,
Would
it
help.
kind of pulls it together. But at first glance, you
Yeah.
see colors and
You've got
symbols.
Is the blue, what is the dark blue supposed to be?
the building.
The building.
Commercial,
Business.
commercial business.
It's like downtown.
Do we have any big tall buildings like that?
No.
No.
Well,
But it was just trying to show you that
I thought
there's
maybe it was
commercial.
the school, the auditorium.
It's almost in
because of
scale
the
with the water
school.
tower, though, if you look at the
Cool.
height of it.
True.
Yeah, well, yeah, you're right.
Well, I mean, I look at what people relocating or moving to Casson, you know, we're getting younger demographically.
The school is the biggest
The school is
thing.
a huge sell.
Yeah.
You know,
Well,
I don't know how you
it's-
put a school, I can't draw pictures, but
Mhm.
I don't know how you
Neither
put
can I, that's why I didn't want to
I don't know, I
critique
mean,
this at
I think that,
all.
I think it's important.
Oh, I do too.
It is very important.
The school is.
And also too, I think the Tree City USA is important as well. I know a lot of residents don't know how much work goes into keeping our trees up, but it is a big,
It
it's a
is, it
big
gives
deal.
it-
It's a big deal because when we bought in town, my first comment was, I don't wanna buy out there in some place that doesn't
Have
have
any-
any two or
Correct.
three.
Yeah.
And that's
Yeah.
what they strive to work on all the time, is to get trees out there to everybody, so.
And the hardest part is when you take trees down, then you get
Correct.
planted, so then, I mean,
Yeah.
And look at these little things.
I know, that's the
But-
hard part, but you have to,
Yeah.
it's a revolving cycle,
Yeah.
but they do add a lot to the city far as,
Mhm.
Yeah, I don't know
appearance
about
and-
the, yeah.
But yeah, you're right, the school and trees, and, yeah, the water tower definitely has to be somewhere in the logo once it's finalized.
but I don't know.
Oh,
I
I
don't know
would
the
hate to
answer.
do this job,
Yeah.
that's all I gotta say.
Right,
I,
yeah.
I don't have
I
any
give credit for
suggestions.
just the beginning.
Yeah.
I mean, this is fantastic.
Good thought process.
Mhm.
It's a starting point.
Mhm.
It is. And
Okay.
I do agree with the Casson part,
Mm-hmm.
that it's not hidden inside the logo.
Mm-hmm.
That's
Mhm.
excellent.
Yeah.
Yeah, this was one of those things, Joya, took it up to her professors and asked what they thought, and everybody was shocked with how intricate it was. They said by no means did she want, they think it was a good idea to make it any more detailed than it already was.
Right.
But, again, if you know the background of it,
It helps.
all of it
It
comes
does.
together and makes
But-
sense, so.
It does.
But if you're looking to come here, or
Yeah, if you
Right.
don't know the
You would
background,
look at
you're
it, go,
from
you would.
Tennessee.
Yep, so to simplify, maybe modify the water tower
add the school.
in whatever way we can, add the
Yeah,
school,
add
and
the
then make
school.
sure we're clearly identifying and making sure the Tree City, USA is present in that.
Mhm.
So this is a house.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm thinking, I'm really fixated on all of like arrows.
Well, the
So
house is
she-
supposed to look like
yeah,
an
she
arrow,
did that
moving us up.
intentionally.
Yeah.
'Cause-
In the top of the tower.
Yep.
Well, the tower is usually much taller than your house.
She did it intentionally as a border.
Correct.
It's more of a border
It
to
is,
pay
it's
it.
letting people know, hey, this is a, you know,
Right.
community,
Community,
like housing,
housing
and we can
together.
take care of you all under,
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah, together. it's-
under one roof. Yeah,
So
no, excellent idea though.
I will talk to Joya and see if there's any way we can simplify or, somehow better lay it out. And it, overall, I mean, do you like the general format of it, if she kept the same borders and the inside was revised to be a little more?
I don't know if you need the arrow, I think that's more confusing than anything.
Mhm.
Make it round or square, just to.
Or
to keep-
even like
keep
the
it-
county and have
Yeah,
a
like
blind
that,
background?
yep.
Yeah,
Okay.
like-
Cause then you can get your intricate details, like the counties included, you can see the houses,
Yep.
Yep,
and you can get the school in there, and
Yeah,
it looks
And
more,
the tower is
Home.
taller than houses.
well, yeah, that's why it was taller than your buildings, but, you know, I mean,
right.
Well, I thought this was the house.
well, that was just to tell you there's houses, yeah.
Ah.
It's kinda
But if you had the tower like the.
like in here, yep.
Yeah, it would,
Yep, yep.
I like this,
Yeah,
cause it's simple,
Yeah.
but yet
And
you
it lets you know,
understand.
yeah,
Looks like a lighthouse.
You
So-
see the
Fields and
Capitol,
trees.
you point out
Here's
the-
my other
You see the
question to you.
rural, the road,
so the county, before they decided on that final logo, they had a couple of different options. They had the one with everything compiled into one, and then they had another more modern, view of it as well, that literally had 3 squares. One of them encompassed the housing, and in the housing and industry. The other one was like the farmland and river, and the last one I think was the courthouse or something like that. But they had 3 separate, boxes, and then historic was under the cupola and the courthouse. Vibrant was under, like the cityscape, and then rural was the farmland and river.
I think this is better than the 3 box.
Okay.
Cause this just is clean and
Yeah,
to the
you
point.
you can
and
see it.
You can see everything
get
that you
it.
need to see.
Okay.
This is their final one?
That's
They
their final,
did it?
yep, that's what
Yeah.
they've gone with.
It is nice.
It's,
I like this.
you know,
Yeah.
you see everything in it, it ties it together to the
I
county.
don't really
does.
think that you see business in it, but maybe my
But,
perspective.
yeah, the
I don't know where
home-
the business is, it's homes, farming, and the courthouse.
Yep.
But,
Right,
I
and-
don't think Dodge County is necessarily known for business.
Business either.
They're
Right,
just not.
exactly.
Right, no, I
It's
agree.
A lot of
I mean, that's where
agriculture.
Casson stands out in Dodge County, is our commercial business is,
It's only gonna get bigger,
well, it's the
I
only
hope.
commercial
And
business in
housing.
Dodge County, really. You know, it really is.
short of, well, you got Dodge Center, but
Okay.
you got, you know,
They've got
that
some
whole.
major players.
Yeah.
That's
but-
like a
but-
field of its
that's-
own.
But that's all
Industry.
industrial.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then that's the whole town,
Yeah,
is those
exactly.
businesses, you know, I mean,
Yeah.
that's their niche per se.
Yeah, and our niche, I think, is retail, commercial, whatever.
Yeah,
I do.
and housing.
And yeah.
And housing.
And housing. I mean, we're a bedroom
Cool.
community for Rochester, and that's where school comes in.
Perfect, okay. Well, I will give Joya the feedback and kind of let her know we'd like to lean towards something a little cleaner looking, I don't know if cleaner is the right word, but more simplistic, yet.
That's what we need.
Yeah.
Yeah,
More-
that's
more
like
like-
the
something
county
like that,
version.
yep.
Yep.
Artsy maybe?
Yeah, yeah.
Perfect.
I don't know if that's
Sure.
right.
Something that makes,
Some
something that you can
rounding.
look at from the outside and tie it together where,
Yeah.
Yep.
Where you're not questioning, yes.
not where you go like this and no offense, but you're
Yeah.
like,
It's a good first draft though. I mean,
I tell you what,
I'll
I
come up with it.
tell her we appreciate it and
Yeah.
don't take our
Yeah,
criticism.
no.
Yeah, tell them we're not art critics.
And she said too, if anything, like after another draft, if it would be, like she can come present it at our next EDA meeting too, to get feedback directly as well. She was very open to that. She actually called me yesterday thinking that we had already had our EDA meeting for the month, cause
Oh.
she wanted to know your guys' input,
Oh.
so I told her I'd keep her posted on it. But, yeah, for a first draft, I couldn't believe it. Her and I were just talking about it, and like 2 days later, she's like, hey, just threw this together. I was like, you threw that together?
I couldn't do that.
No.
So, yeah, no, she does a really good job, and she'll be very open to anything we have to say, and she understood that, I mean, it is, she said it was rough, so, that's why she wanted to talk about it sooner than later and hasn't proceeded any further with it.
Can I ask who Joya is?
She is the,
She's marketing vice president.
Yep.
too.
Okay.
yep,
You know, I guess
Dodge
I,
County CEDA.
no,
Like,
Community and
like
Economic
the
Development
CEDA.
Association.
Oh, okay.
you know, I like, I guess I like the fact that the house is included, just in the sense that, you know, I think we do wanna communicate that we want families, that there's kind of like this home
But
aspect to it.
but it's gonna look more like a house here.
Right, yeah,
Yeah.
no, I get it.
So that
They'll
all-
But
definitely be
I like
helpful.
I like the inclusion of a house,
Yeah, I do
you know, 'cause I do think it's hard to add in the school somehow, I guess, without making it more busy. And so I think that the idea of having the house communicates the kind of the family orientation in my mind. But I do, yeah, I think there's a lot that we're trying to get across, and I think sometimes we're trying to do too much with a logo. I think we wanna just kinda communicate what is kind of the heart of Casson, as opposed to what is all of Casson, if that makes sense. But, I think that's pretty impressive if she's only just started taking some illustration classes. That's pretty
Yeah,
incredible.
yeah.
Yeah, definitely.
So, okay, perfect, well, I'll talk to her a little bit and we'll see what we can come up with for a we.
I'm sorry,
I say that like I have
I was
actually.
I was gonna just add, one quick thing that, I think, keeping in mind if we print it in black and white.
Yes.
'Cause this wouldn't make any sense if it was in black and white, it would just be a lot going on.
Yep.
Whereas I would say, I like the Dodge County thing, I would say like in black and white, you can kinda figure out what's going on, but it's probably right kinda at the far end of complicated for black and white.
Yeah, the black and white is marginal. There were I got to see the 2 versions of the Dodge County one, both in color and in black and white, and my vote was for the 3 squared because it was easy to identify what was in each box and what they were trying to convey with their their descriptive words. This one in black and white, obviously there's grayscaling to it, so you can see they have variation in the color. But the black and white definitely does not give it as much of a pop and isn't as easy to identify as their colored one. So I'll make sure to keep that in mind as well. Perfect, okay. Well, thanks for your input, and we'll kind of keep working on it and see what we can come back with. Okay, that's all for me.
Move on to other business, the Blandon Foundation.
I came across this at a meeting that I was at, and I just thought it might be something that we might want to apply for, as far as getting a grant to get more people involved in our leadership roles in Casson, because a lot of times we are a bedroom community, and you have the kids out of school and you go back to work in Rochester, and it would be nice if we had more community involvement.
Do you have a specific project that you think that you would want to apply funding for? That's one thing that Blandon does require, is like a clear project that's been identified, and before you can even apply for a grant, you have to write a letter to them for consideration, and then they will send you an application from there if they see that that specific project is fitting of what their focus areas are.
I do have a specific project, and it would be the old school, the center pod, to turn it into a community use building, because it still has a gym, full-size high school gym upstairs. We do need, I know that there is senior citizen available meeting space at the library, but we don't really have a community place where you could go and have a kitchen. It would be nice to possibly have a small Casson museum. I'm not sure where, does anyone know where Boy Scouts and Girl Scouts meet in Casson?
Girl Scouts, I think, meet at St. John's.
Yep, and the Boy Scouts,
I don't know. Don't know.
I don't know if it's another church or,
I wonder if it's St. John's.
I think it might be St. John's too.
Probably is.
I think
I
it
know,
is.
years ago when I was a Girl Scout leader, we met at my house,
No,
but there was no place.
yeah. I know a lot of them meet at the church, but I don't know if
Mhm.
both. I know people that are in both, but I've never asked where they meet, cause we don't know.
See that? Yeah,
Do
exactly.
you still have
Me
4-H?
either.
Is there still
4-H?
4-H in town?
Yep,
yeah,
but
there's-
they
yeah.
I would think they
meet
would meet at the,
the church by the park.
Yeah.
I know one
Methodist church?
group
The one on
meets
the
there. The one by,
West of the
which part?
KMNG.
J. Hyde Park, or, the West Park,
Yes, so
or
it's
by the library.
over by the library,
Yeah.
that.
Lutheran church?
Oh, no,
No,
that's
is
the
it
Methodist church.
Presbyterian
Or
there?
No.
No, the the Presbyterian's not far from the library.
That's the
It's
Presbyterian
just off
church.
of Main,
Okay.
yeah.
Presbyterian.
I know one group meets there anyway,
Okay.
one 4-H group, Canasteo
Okay.
group or something like that. You know, like how you mentioned a meeting place or with a kitchen and stuff like that, I do kind of agree with that actually, because there is a lot of groups, even like cross-country group, for instance, we went to St. John's and used their kitchen. And if we did have a community kitchen, you could go there, but there's gotta be a fee, obviously, to upkeep and stuff, but it's a good idea. 'Cause Casson does not have a universal, hey, let's rent that out for a couple hours, or, so, it's a thought.
I do know at one time the volleyball coach was looking for space for volleyball training.
Adam.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and I'm thinking, this would be possibly better than that little spot downtown on Main Street. But it's got, a lot of parking area. But truly, not the whole building, just the center pod.
And upstairs.
And yeah, that includes the upstairs.
It would get utilized, I mean, we're always looking for more space for the school too.
Well, yeah, I had heard that, a toothpick had come to some of the churches looking for rooms for something for the school. I'm trying to remember what.
They're short on gym space, but
Because
that
they didn't,
report.
because they didn't have room at any of the school
Yeah.
buildings, really?
Yeah, I'm trying to I'm pretty sure it was Presbyterian Church because my daughter was.
So that'll be something you can check into.
I'll look
Yeah.
into it, I don't know, I mean, I'm gonna have to talk to Wade
Somebody,
or
yeah.
somebody from Blandon to see if utilizing funds to rehab a space is something that can be done. I mean, rehabbing the space to open it up to community is great, but at the same time, they're gonna expect us to incorporate the leadership building within that somehow, so.
Right, right.
If we don't have clearly identified what we're doing there, I don't know that it's gonna be a project that would qualify for their funding, so I'm gonna have to do some further research on that to see
Let us know.
if there's, any feasibility there.
Okay.
Well, I guess, you know, yeah, I'd be interested to hear kind of what their, the kinds of things that they wanna see in a project. You know, I thought, I was thinking a little bit on, you know, some different, some different leadership development stuff that we could maybe do with, like kids with, in our school district. I was looking at, I'd like to take a look, I guess I'd say, like, if we can't do the rehab stuff, through Blandon, I would like to kinda take a look at creating a youth version of, like Blandon has their rural leadership development. I'd like to see kind of like a create like a local like youth version of that for high schoolers and middle schoolers. And incorporate, you know, in Humphrey Policy Fellowship, we had, there are some, I think kinda some interesting ways that we could incorporate the ways they did their programming but geared more towards youth. I don't know, anyways, if they want like leadership development stuff, though, I'd like to take a look at, you know, if we could get help from them on how to design something like that.
Cause if you're gonna go for the youth, then we'll be going to school on that too, cause that would be all.
I was
Right, that'd
gonna
be
say
cool.
like a joint venture.
Cause they might already have something there that we don't know of too, 'cause.
Right,
Or something with
They do
their
have something
student
with the city, I
council or-
know that.
so, yeah, but yeah, so.
Okay, I'll look into those and let
Alright.
you guys know on that as well.
Do we have any more items that we wanna add to the February EDA?
I have a couple of things listed on my end. Election of officers, once everyone's reappointed to the board. And then priorities for 2019 that I figured we could kind of discuss just to make sure we're all working towards the same end goal.
Have there been any updates on the housing study?
That, yeah, I should have put that on here. I actually just got an email yesterday finally from Maxfield. They are firming up some of their final numbers, and fingers crossed, I'll have that by the end of next week, a draft of it. So,
Send
once
that out?
yeah, once I get that, I'll provide it to everybody so everybody can review the draft. So, yeah, yep.
Look for a motion to adjourn.
Okay, so moved.
Motion.
First and second, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Thank you, everybody.
Thank you.
Okay, so now that this is off the record.
Now that Joya gets to hear everything we just
No.
said.
No,
I know Joya a little
I-
bit, so she won't be mad at
I
you.
know, I did, and she did not expect